Hi, I'm Kim. I wrote this book, Tales of a Chocolate Smuggler. And the book is meant to be for people to read to each other, lovers to read to each other. So I'm going to read a story, the first story in the book. The book is called Tales of a Chocolate Smuggler, and the story is called A Dream of Colour. In the beginning there was a lone man. He grew accustomed to his aloneness and lost himself in the ocean whenever he could escape the land. He was not bred to be an inlander. He had various companions, some important, others less so. He thought maybe he would die alone. A seer had foretold this. He met a gypsy, and in her eyes he thought he saw the future, a thing he had not done for a long time. Her eyes became his ocean, and in them he saw cargo ships. In a long ago place not so far away, a lonely man once lived. He was neither young nor old. He lived on the side of a barren mountain overlooking the ocean. His home was simple, dusty and empty, so empty. Except of course for implements and artifacts and memories. Every day he stood on the mountainside and looked out to sea. There was a wistful melancholy about his attitude, but there was no one to see him, so it passed unnoticed. When he was done looking, he went about his chores. There was a sparseness about his movements. He rarely spoke, but laughed often at the random thoughts which flashed across his mind. He sometimes laughed in his sleep, although he did not know why, because he was asleep. Seabirds would often pass by his home, but involved as they were in the rituals of survival, they did not notice him. He, however, never failed to notice them. On the faraway horizon he would search for and sometimes see cargo ships plying the trade routes. He would imagine the smells of cinnamon and cardamom. He would imagine the heat, the colours, the beauty, smells and sounds of exotic ports and dusky maidens. He wished he could go to Venezuela just once before he died. He often wept in loneliness and frustration. Where he stood every day there grew a depression in the ground, a hole where his feet packed the earth, a hole which made him ever shorter. Every day the hole grew bigger and he sunk lower. He stood in the same spot and searched and dreamed and wept for the colours of Venezuela. Ah, Venezuela. Standing where he was, his tears would fall over the edge of the cliff and plummet towards the sea. They did not make it, however, and landed on a small outcrop. They splashed in the dirt collected from the winds which swirled around the rocks. One day, as the Raggedy Man stood forlornly on the cliff top and wept in his despair, a gust from the prevailing trade winds deposited a load of dust into the small damp crevice. In the dust was a seed, and in the seed there was life. The Raggedy Man searched and dreamed and wept for his Venezuela. The colours and beauty, the smells and dusky maidens all seemed so far away, further away than ever, further away with every passing day, further away even than his youth. He wept. Sobs wrenched from his soul created a torrent of tears which flowed down his raggedy face and swirled over the edge of the cliff. The seed shuddered in awakening. The seed sprouted and spread tendrils into the dirt. The seed was no longer. In a long ago place not so far away a Raggedy Man once lived. He was neither young nor old. He lived on the side of a mountain overlooking the ocean. His home was simple, dusty and empty. Except of course for implements and artifacts and memories, everything he saw was grey. Every day he stood on the mountainside and looked out to sea. There was a wistful melancholy about his attitude, but there was no one to see him, and so he passed unnoticed. On the far-away horizon he would search for and sometimes see cargo ships plying the trade routes. He would imagine the heat, the beauty, smells and sounds of exotic ports and dusky maidens. He wished he could see the colours of Venezuela just once before he died, and he wept in loneliness and frustration. His tears would swirl gently as they fell from his raggedy chin and his raggedy cheeks, and splash onto a vibrant and beautiful flower which grew on a rocky outcrop, out of sight and beyond reach, as he grew ever shorter. Ah, Venezuela! In a faraway place not so long ago, a strange, fantastic and beautiful woman once lived. She lived on the side of a mountain overlooking the ocean. She never saw anyone. A solitary flower. It was a lonely man. She did not see him or know him, but he was there. Sweet dreams.